There we go. And if you're just joining me, or you're just dropping in or out, I just finished a bunker 12 from Atomic Heart. It is the last of the bunkers before you go and do the end game content. Meeting up with the lady at the lighthouse, making a decision about certain objects you've been carrying for quite a while, and then going to meet your boss after all is said and done. We've already been through it in one way, and that was not acceptable. And it was obvious that there is another way to end the conflict. So we'll do that tomorrow. Now, since Bobby's asleep and I can chat a little bit with you again. Let's see. Atomic Heart. Rewards. Okay. Claiming. Alright, so we got almost all the achievements. We're looking at we missed a couple of apples when we were in Limbo. Hopefully we can get those, or maybe we'd have to start over again. I don't know. That would be awful. I've got to collect. I've got to make the Fat Man. I have definitely missed some of the chirpers and some of the other dead folk around the area. I didn't craft all the consumables. Kill Belly Ash. Complete the game. Okay, here's a lot of these I don't really care about. So this may be I don't know. Next up, after we watch a couple of videos and I decompress for a little bit and clear my palate, we will check out Death Stranding, because I've never played it. I've seen some of the videos and everything and some of the story, but none of it really makes a whole lot of sense outside the context of the game. And with Kojima, even inside the context of the game, sometimes it just doesn't fucking make sense. But that will be our new game until June 1st, when Diablo 4 drops. For the moment, I'm going to turn some music back on. And so I have three videos for you tonight. Two from somebody that we have watched some of their stuff before. That's Mr. Darian Quilloy. I hope that's how you pronounce your name, sir. But he is the author of Vita Carnis, and he has a couple of more videos that we need to look at. And then, as I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm really hoping that Starfield can give me the same And this is just how I use the term. It gives me the same crunchiness that Fallout 3 and Diablo, or not Diablo, and that Skyrim gave me when I played. Um, because those were two standout Bethesda titles, in my opinion. Um, there have been others, like Doom Eternal was really good. Um, uh, but really, those were seminal games for me. They were parts of my life. And at least on Skyrim, I remember putting in like 460 some odd hours into that game. Although I refused flat out to do the political end game quests because I feel the Dragonborn is not. That's not what he's a demigod. The Dragonborn is a demigod and has no. You have no business in the political game unless you're gonna fucking take over the world and run the fucking thing yourself. I mean, if that's the deal, then okay, I could see how, like, all right, I'm gonna delegate how things are gonna go. But if I mean, if it's all about the other people, the regular people, then it should be about the regular people. Like you should only be tangentially involved. Like you shouldn't even these are mortal affairs, and you are not immortal. You're not mortal. You're not. So that's how I felt about that. Everything else, I was just fucking over the moon about. I don't think I ever fought the end game super NPC, the guy in the ebony armor and everything. I never came across him. But I didn't look very well. No, I did. I just never came across him. I don't know. I did come across the big ass fucking troll king, or like a that ghostly troll or whatever, that you have to find the skulls and unlock his lair or whatever, and then you fight him, and after you beat him, you get him as a summon for a limited number of summons. Which unfortunately I did use all my summons because I was fighting somebody. But definitely had such good times. My favorite part was doing the Daedra quests. I really enjoyed that, because that's the kind of thing that I feel the Dragonborn would be involved with. You know what I'm saying? Like the affairs of the fucking gods. That's what you're here for. You're not here for the petty squabbles of the fucking the human kingdoms. You could wipe all of them out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could be the next what's his name? The one that the elves refuse to worship, and everyone in Skyrim secretly worships. That guy. Like, that's the kind of power you can wield, and that's and it's a good way to think about the power creep that happens when you get to the highest tier that you can get in the game, where you're just like wandering around, like one-shotting giants and breaking dragons' necks left and right, and you've already beaten Alduin and everything, and you've been to Valhalla, as far as in Skyrim terms. Why would you care about the political affairs of men? Doesn't make sense to me. even though I doubt that it is the case, in my headcanon, I would like to think that Fallout, Starfield, and Skyrim take place in like a loose continuity, like they are past, present, and futures of this particular universe, whatever order they want to be in. You know, empires rise and fall quickly, or not quickly at all, but they always rise and fall. That would be cool. They floated it, but and apparently that's not the case. But it would be cool, especially the kind of shit that passes between Fallout and Elder Scrolls with Quoltoth, and you know, and just stuff like that. Also the Nern route, because that's in Fallout 4. And there's no reason for Nern route to be in Fallout 4 in any capacity, even as an Easter egg, if there were no connection between Nern and the world and Fallout world. I just don't buy it. And all the Eldritch forces that are involved. I mean, come on, you have aliens involved. And old Quoltoth. Like, literally, you've got, like Eldritch texts that exist in this world, and beings and gods and old gods and everything. Like, don't tell me that the two couldn't exist. Where is my clock? Gummy's like, shit, he's taking another dab. Does guy ever not smoke? Yeah, when I'm at work, a lot of times, like, I won't get stoned out of my gourd, but it does help me stay on my feet, at least being medicated. But I don't smoke nearly as much as I used to. This is just the weekend for me. Okay. I think we're ready. So, First up is Vita Carnis Flavor Enhancer Commercial. You've been warned. Oh, sorry.
The most crucial component to enjoying a good meal. The way food tastes is what makes eating so pleasurable. But what if you could savor every little detail you could possibly want? That is why we, at Nutri Co., have made it so that you may enjoy every single bite you take. With our product, the Flavor Enhancer, you can extract every last morsel of taste from your plate.
Wow.
With overwhelming demand for this essential product, even since our start earlier this year, we have delivered what you wanted. Now introducing the Flavor Enhancer Deluxe. Now packaged in a larger size and modified recipe, there is now even more savory goodness to go around. Since our debut in mid-1990, the Flavor Enhancer has shown to be a major hit, with our products flying off the shelves. The Flavor Enhancer Deluxe will allow us to satisfy your growing, tasting needs. Now
That just
allowing
sounds
you to
so
add
sinister.
even more enhancer to your dinner, making your food even better to enjoy. The Flavor Enhancer Deluxe, available on shelves now.
Apply enhancer below 60 degrees for optimal flavor.
Now. Nutri Co. Experience true savor.
It sounds like humans didn't write it.
These larger serving sizes make dining even more pleasant, now allowing more generous amounts of enhancer at a time. Flavor Enhancer Deluxe, now available in stores near you. Nutri Co. Experience true savor.
Make your taste buds pop with the new deluxe size. Make tasting even more awesome. Thrill your kids with this essential part of every meal. Nutri
Super creepy.
Flavor Enhancer Deluxe. Required for all meals, no matter how small it seems, just a little more. It is crucial to everyday eating.
Ah. So they've been okay, so basically they've been showing you different versions of the tape and getting down to the layers that are behind it, the subliminal messaging they use to get you to buy the flavor enhancer. Okay. They do that in like normal or in regular television. Yeah, it was cool. All right, and this one is called simply Message. That was a big dab.
In the distant horizon, the group of monoliths stand vacant.
Yeah, we've talked about the monoliths. I think that um, in other videos.
Although closed off to outsiders, their stance can be observed well outside the perimeter. It is known to have hundreds of thousands of fibers that weave themselves deep underground, all connected in a grand mycelial network.
You might be confused as to why you received this package. This was left to you because we share a common goal. I'm aware that you studied
Carcass conflicts with. I don't know if it says NATO or nations or okay. The private organization of Containment and Research Consults Association Society. The private organization of Containment and Research Consult Association Society. That's really awful name. Carcass has been experiencing backlash from government agencies about cooperation and violation of newly introduced policies of blank 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 blank. I'm aware that you study the Carnis and research their properties.
Carnis and researched their properties. I'm also aware that you have received backlash for doing so. Something isn't as it seems, and you know this too. Unexplained phenomena, countless casualties, missing persons, fatalities, and yet no cooperation, and a notable silence about these affairs. People are afraid and confused. Why is nothing being done?
A group of students released a nature documentary about the Carnis species, which was seized by authorities. The group, called the National Living Meat Research, NLMR, has included various amounts of sensitive material and defamation. Officials arrested some of the suspects while other outside sources are still at large. The students claim they were simply working on the project for something and didn't know about the extra product for. I don't know.
Because they don't want us to know. We've been kept in the dark while those above us slither and miss the blind. They have slowly been numbing our minds to their schemes. But they've made one crucial error. Trails, crumbs, traces of information. I've collected these pieces and found their loose ends. This is why I've left this message to you. The documents included with this stamp is all the information that I have gathered. Every continuity, every cover-up, every clue that I could find, they all lead here. Something has been going on these few years. Something big. Something they don't want us to know about. Here's where you come in. I don't have the power to change things, but you do. Alongside the documents, my plans. Plans for a meeting one of great importance. You have the resources. This information I've provided to you. I hope you get those stopped all the scales. I just hope it isn't too late.
So this is all related to the sinkhole, right? I think that was part of this.
The monoliths are truly an astonishing sight to behold.
Yeah, thanks for making the content for us. This is... Okay. So... So we haven't been through... Oh no, we did everything in here, but... hmm. Okay. Because it's starting to make me think and want to like look at other connections. So this is literally everything we need to know about Starfield. This is from Juicehead. This just came out a couple hours ago, so let's check it out.
Starfield. But before that, I think this is a really good time for you to get prepared. Over the past couple of years, a ton of information has been shared and shown with Starfield, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about just about all of it, get you up to date with everything you actually need to know about the game, so as we get this new Starfield Direct, you're ready. And stay tuned because there's actually quite a few surprises in this one. I thought I knew a lot about Starfield, but in the process of making this video, I actually learned about quite a few things I wasn't even aware of. But first, I'm going to help you out. Father's Day is just a few weeks away now, and I'm going to help you give a great gift this year thanks to today's video sponsor, Ridge. And Ridge is actually making this very easy as they're hosting one of their biggest sales of the year for this Father's Day. The Ridge wallet is a complete game changer.
They are nice.
Bulky, oversized wallets are a problem, but with Ridge, things are much slimmer and compact while still having all of the room you need for 12 cards and cash, which is vital because, of course, your dad still carries cash. And if your dad's picky, there are tons of awesome colors to choose from, like this awesome new Damascus style, but for me, the real game changer was the Ridge key case. Cheap keys are just obnoxiously large, and the key case prevents key jiggling and allows my pockets to have at least some breathing room. But it gets even better because you can get up to 30% off your order if you buy a
nice
wallet and key case together. And just like that, you got your Father's Day gift sorted. But it still gets even better because if your dad doesn't love it, Ridge offers a 99-day refund policy. So get in on this big sale right now using my link at ridge.com/juicehead and save up to 40% through June 15th. That's ridge.com/juicehead. So the first question probably should be, what actually is Starfield? And the funny part is, the answer is kind of a mix of things. On one hand, Starfield is going to be an extremely ambitious, single-player focused sci-fi RPG from Bethesda Game Studios. On a high level, Starfield has been described as the be-all, end-all science fiction game and a Han Solo simulator, which seems to imply that we're going to be adventuring around the galaxy trying to solve or find something and going on adventures along the way. that Starfield could end up having some multiplayer features, and we'll talk more on that a bit later. At its core, this is designed as a single-player game, and in fact, this is going to be Bethesda Game Studios' first single-player release in 8 years. And thanks to those 8 years, this is definitely going to be a game with an upgrade. Starfield is confirmed to feature the biggest engine upgrade Bethesda Game Studios has ever done. Although it seems like these are upgrades in a familiar direction. Even with some of the changes, it's still very much so going to be a Bethesda Game Studios game. It's described as having that same DNA as Fallout 4 and Skyrim. So to some degree, Starfield will still feel like a familiar Fallout or Elder Scrolls game where you can touch the world, loot people, and more. And this game getting a huge engine upgrade is not all that surprising. Despite Fallout 76 coming out in 2018, development on Starfield actually began in 2016, making it the longest dev cycle for a Bethesda Game Studios title ever, although it seems like they did take a bit of a break for Fallout 76.
Yeah, to come up with a proper story.
Going super deep into crazy sci-fi, the overall art style for this game has been described as NASA punk, and in general, Starfield will feature a more grounded feeling sci-fi.
I'm down for NASA punk.
It's a somewhat dangerous activity here, and we even know the developers looked at several real spaceships and even read real quantum mechanics papers when developing this game. Although at the core of all of this, Starfield is going to be a serious game with a serious mystery attached to it. With it being said, how Starfield is about hope, our humanity, and sharing answers for life's greatest mystery. As well as Todd Howard has confirmed that Starfield will get into science, religion, and big questions that will get you thinking. But on top of that, Starfield seems like it's very much so going to be a passion project for Todd Howard. It's going to be the studio's first new IP in over 25 years, what Todd Howard describes knowing he wanted to do an epic science fiction game since 2004, and you could even find old forum posts of him talking about wanting to make a game like this. And although you're not able to buy Starfield, at least as of right now when I'm recording this video, Starfield is very likely going to debut as a $70 title that's going to be available for PC and Xbox. This is not a game coming to PlayStation, but it will also be available day one on Game Pass, which I'm sure is how many of you watching right now are going to experience it. But first, let's dive into some of the lore, and really what's known about this new universe we're going to be diving into with Starfield. The game's going to take place in 2330, so just over 300 years in the future from today, but in the process of developing Starfield, Bethesda created a timeline of what events occurred every 10 years between now and then. So there should be a fairly consistent hierarchy and history of events in the Starfield universe. Starfield's map is going to be about 50 light years in size, and the area covered by this is going to be known as the Settled Systems. As well as in a high level, it was described how Starfield has its own thing to justify what's occurring in the world. For example, in Fallout we had radiation, in Skyrim you have magic, and in Starfield there's going to be their own version of that. Constellation is going to be the main faction we're joining in Starfield. They are going to be the last group of space explorers, and it seems like this is going to be our cornerstone faction. Based off what has been described thus far, it almost seems similar to being a vault dweller. We will be able to join other factions, but it's our membership with Constellation that really kicks us off on our journey across the galaxy here. And while this game does take place in 2330, Constellation is quite a bit older than that, being formed in 2188, 142 years prior to the events of Starfield, and this faction overall is concerned with finding out about mysteries in the universe and collecting old Earth artifacts. A core component of Starfield will be our journey to uncover life's greatest mystery. This has been consistently stated throughout the marketing material and trailers. And at this point in time, we actually don't know what that is. We don't know the answer to life's greatest mystery, but we also don't even really know the question. What actually is life's greatest mystery? Some of the popular theorizing as it pertains to Starfield is perhaps this could be, where did human life originate from, or are there other forms of intelligent life in the galaxy? But it's definitely clear from the trailers thus far that we'll be quite active in trying to answer this question. There's going to be this artifact, an ancient looking device that seems to be at the center of this mystery and the answer to it, and one of the voiceovers from the trailers, it's described how we just found the key to unlocking everything. And this structure seems like it's going to be very important to the story overall. This structure is a part of the cover art for the game overall, likely to appear on the box of the game, as well as appeared in different ways in the trailers. We've seen it drawn out and posted on a bulletin board to actually being fully represented in its physical form. And I wouldn't be shocked if, as a part of all of this, we actually have a vision of this structure. You see, our discovery or unique experience seems to be what actually gets us into Constellation and kind of kicks off the main story of Starfield in the first place. You begin Starfield as a simple miner, and based off the gameplay trailer, while mining, we seemingly find something or perhaps have a vision of some sort. This will seemingly all be tied to the structure and greater mystery, but then once we have this experience, we meet up with Barrett from Constellation, and it seems like following that, we're going to fly over to planet Jemison, meet with the broader board of Constellation, and then end up joining the faction overall and launching continuing our search into the galaxy. Todd Howard has described how Starfield has 2 step-out moments. Most of their games just have one, like that first moment when you exit the vault is a step-out moment. So in Starfield's a bit curious as to how there's going to be 2 of these. I imagine one of these moments is just getting that first open-world exploration experience when the game kind of unlocks and you could wander around freely. But perhaps early on this is just going to allow you to explore one city at a time, probably New Atlantis, as it seems like we go there early. And I wouldn't be shocked if the second stepping out moment is once we actually get our spaceship. It seems like this is going to be something we're given by Constellation, and the spaceship itself is named Frontier. Although as a part of all of this with the mystery and these 2 step-out moments, we also have the anomaly. We've seen this cosmic effect also showcased in numerous trailers now, and not much is really known about what this means. But in the most recent trailer, there was some mention of another anomaly occurring, so perhaps this is a major story moment for us early on. I mean, after all, this anomaly effect has been present in both the first trailer and even the most recent one. It's definitely had some staying power. But then transitioning over, to be a bit more specific, we have some of the major locations as well as factions present in Starfield. The 2 major powers in this galaxy are the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective. The United Colonies are almost
That one's really good. I don't like the game. I like how it looks.
Powerhouse high-tech faction. At the time of Starfield, they are the most powerful faction around, but conversely, the Freestar Collective is a collective of 3 star systems, which makes sense, given their name. And these people are actually going to be quite a bit different compared to the United Colonies. The Freestar Collective will be more of a frontiersman with a far more rugged lifestyle, and they view personal freedom as paramount. About 20 years before the events of Starfield in 2310, these 2 factions were at war with the Colony Wars. But now they're at peace, although it is described as an uneasy peace. It seems like both of these factions are going to be joinable.
Peace
it seems like these are going to really be the 2 big factions in the game, and I wouldn't be shocked if, as you explore their quest lines, you find that they absolutely hate each other. New Atlantis will be the largest city in Starfield, and in fact, is the largest city Bethesda Game Studios has ever made, as well as the city will be controlled by the United Colonies, and it's going to be on the planet Jemison. In addition, this happens to be the home of Constellation. It's where our ship was actually flying, or where it was directed to be flying in the teaser trailer, and it seems like planet Jemison and New Atlantis are going to be a place we go to very early on in the game. I wouldn't be shocked again if this is that first step-out moment where you get full access to the city. Not much is really known about New Atlantis beyond that, although it definitely seems like it's going to...
I want every city to be as dense as Skyrim. If you're gonna make these fucking things, just do it to the full bore.
To be a mixing pot. Residents of New Atlantis are coming from every race, creed, and ethnicity. Conversely, Aquila City is going to be the capital of the Freestar Collective, and this city seems like it might be a little bit less safe. Outside of the visuals of the city, not much is really known about it, except that outside the walls of Aquila City is this dangerous area infested with the Ashta. It seems like the Ashta are going to look like this, and they're described as a cross between a wolf and a velociraptor. And by the point of Starfield, both Aquila City and New Atlantis are going to be fairly old, having been founded around 150 years before the events of the game. Neon is that cyberpunk-like city we've seen, and this is going to be a pleasure city, almost described as a space version of Las Vegas. Neon is going to be controlled by Ryujin Industries, where they're going to sell the chem Aurora. This is a self-enjoyment chem that's going to be made from the fish caught around Neon. Most importantly, Aurora is also only legal to use in Neon, so Aurora became a major tourist attraction for Neon. And also, as a side note, it's pretty interesting in that this is actually going to be a corporation-controlled city, as opposed to a government body, which seems to be how it works for all of the other major cities. As well as we do know that there's going to be at least one quest where we're working in an illicit chem lab, this likely being tied to creating some illicit Aurora. The 4th and final major city in Starfield is Sidonia.
Yeah, I really want to fucking forget that I'm in a fucking, I'm in like a certain location. Like if I'm in a city, I want to forget that I'm in the city when I'm doing quests, or at least I want to be so immersed in the city that I'm not worried about getting to the next city. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be engrossed in the story, or in the side quests, or in the NPCs, you know, or the exploration, or whatever, man. Like I just please let it be super good. Please.
and this is actually going to be on Mars. We've had a few overview shots of this city, making it look almost like it's partially underground. And although, as far as I can tell, we don't actually know how old Cydonia is, it is described as being one of the oldest star bases out there, being one of the first star bases ever established. But Cydonia also gives us a pretty interesting perspective with Starfield. We have these shots of the city itself, but we also have a separate shot of the Opportunity rover on Mars. This is the real-world Mars rover, which landed on Mars, and that would imply that both of these shots are taking on these planets. So you can start to see how large some of these planets are going to be. You have this large engulfing city, one of the 4 major cities in the entire game, but then separately, if you just walk somewhere else, you'll be able to have what looks like an almost desolate planet around you. And further, we know that this solar system, where Mars is, and our own solar system around Earth, is going to be known as the Old Neighborhood in Starfield. And it's been described in interviews how early on in the game we'll be returning here and be faced with what happened to Earth. It's not entirely clear what's going on with Earth, but based off this wording, as well as the fact that we're going to be hunting old Earth artifacts, makes me think Earth is no more, or at least not going to be the Earth we know. The big bad guy faction we see are the Crimson Fleet Pirates, and we know this is going to be a faction we can join. Not a ton is known about these guys, outside of them invading both the Freestar Collective and United Colonies territory, which seems like a big deal. It seems like the Freestar Collective and United Colonies are the 2 powerhouse factions, so if the Crimson Fleet Pirates are invading their territory successfully, that would be a pretty big deal. As well as we know that the Crimson Fleet Pirates aren't actually one cohesive organization. They're decentralized, with several smaller groups making up the entire organization. Both each of these factions, we have also heard how Bethesda made the decision to not put the factions in direct conflict of one another with this story. So we will have the opportunity to complete the faction quest lines independent of one another. And it almost sounds like there's not going to be a familiar point of no return. There's not going to be a point in the United Colonies quest line where you suddenly can't do any more quests for the Freestar Collective, or if there is a point of no return like that, perhaps it's just very late into the quest line. As well as this isn't going to be a game where we're trying to become the leader of these factions. It's described how we're going to have quests where we can nudge the factions in a certain direction, and that will have far-reaching consequences for that faction, but it's not like we're eventually going to become the president of the United Colonies. There are also several factions and really groups of enemies that are detailed, but never really fully described outside of just being threats to our character. We have the Ecliptic Mercenaries and the fanatical religious zealots of the House Veru. We don't know anything about the House Veru zealots, but we do know that the Ecliptic Mercenaries are going to use this armor, and they have a pretty cool name. Starfield's going to have violent spacers that attack us also. These almost sound like generic raiders. And aliens. We know that enemy aliens are going to be a feature here. We have seen some alien monsters in the trailer, but intelligent aliens are either not a thing or just not known about yet. Although, beyond just House Veru, there's going to be several other religions that we are able to join personally, at least via the traits we can choose in Starfield. And some of the other gameplay, we've seen other factions just named, and we don't actually know if we'll be able to interact with them at all.
I'm thinking about all the fucking games that are coming out like this year. This is going to be such a busy year.
This is that planet where we got that initial gameplay demo of Starfield.
I'm going to have to set schedules. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sunday I play this game, Monday I play this game, Tuesday I play this game,
Crete is actually really old. Those leaked
Wednesday I play this game.
2018 build of Starfield were titled Crete World Base. And similar to some of those unknown factions, Starfield will also have a variety of corporations that we don't know much about right now. We've seen companies named like Xenofresh, who were actually the first people to found Neon, but then Ryogen took over later on, TEC, Axion Energy, and even Nova Galactic. It seems like this will be a mix of part manufacturers and weapon manufacturers, but again, I'm not really sure if these will just be things we see named on items or actual factions and companies we can interact with. But then transitioning over, let's talk about some of the major features coming with Starfield. Your menu item, and really what seems to be the Pip-Boy equivalent in this game, is going to be known as the Chronomark Life Pack Interlink. This is that watch you could see in the case during the teaser trailer, and we even use it to gain entry to Constellation during the gameplay trailer. It seems like this is not only going to be a cornerstone of our character in-game, but we could also see a physical version of the watch. Although it's not confirmed, it seems like this watch and the case associated with it will be a part of one of these special editions for Starfield. This seems to be the justification for our HUD in-game, and the HUD with Starfield also got overhauled. It is fairly straightforward, like this outer part is just going to be a familiar compass. The shaded part pertains to the time of day, which is pretty interesting. If time of day is reflected so heavily on screen and that it's going to constantly be on your HUD, it seems like time of day could perhaps have some notable gameplay implications. Like at nighttime, do some planets get really really cold and require different types of protection. And what I've probably seen the most confusion about is this O2 to CO2 meter. This is actually just going to be your stamina bar, despite the naming. It's going to be used while you're sprinting and likely used while you're jumping. It doesn't actually seem like there's any mechanic around having oxygen tanks on your character, and instead, again, it's just a familiar stamina bar. Although, in a lot of the Starfield gameplay, we could see our character wearing a jetpack, and the jetpack is actually going to be disconnected from stamina and have its own separate bar that pops up as you use it. The jetpack seems pretty interesting here. You, of course, are able to fly around with this, but we've also seen some almost dodge-like mechanics where you can quickly burst in one direction or another using your jetpack. But one of the aspects of Starfield that I think is going to get fans the most excited is Starfield is described as more of a hardcore RPG compared to past Bethesda Game Studios titles. The character creator got a huge upgrade with this game. You can change a ton of additional things, like your body shape, walk type, and there's face customization options among a lot more. But beyond just how you look, there's also going to be a variety of backgrounds you can choose for your character. It seems like you're just doing this as you start out, and there are options such as a chef, a cyberneticist, or even a pilgrim. And in real terms, this will allow you to start the game with 3 skills already unlocked, or at least the first levels of those skills already unlocked. But we've also heard that what background you pick will actually have an impact on your story and interactions. It's not really clear how wide-reaching this will be, but from the gameplay we can see at least one character referencing our diplomat background, and how us having a way with words is going to be a good thing. So perhaps certain backgrounds will unlock unique interactions and possibly even additional ways to complete certain quests or get through certain encounters. As well as in Starfield, there's going to be a new persuasion mechanic. You're now going to have multiple attempts at persuading somebody to do something for you, but depending on what you say, it will use more of your persuasion points each time. And it seems like the idea behind this new persuasion mechanic is, instead of how it worked in past games where it's just, is your charisma stat high enough, yes or no, this persuasion mechanic has a bit more wiggle room in it, and you can actually try different techniques or different variants of approach to try and convince that other person to do whatever it is you want them to do. But Starfield's also going to be the first Bethesda Game Studios game with traits. Traits are optional, and you can pick up to 3 at once. Each trait you pick are going to add both positives and negatives to your character, so it's going to be a bit of a trade-off. And some of these sound very fun and unique features that will definitely mix up playthroughs, such as being able to have parents in Starfield, but if you do have parents, you'll have to send home 10% of your earnings. Or you could even use traits to become a part of a certain religion.
Extortion, I say.
If the negative aspect of the traits get to be a bit too much for you, there's actually going to be a way to remove traits. It seems like this will be done via a quest. As of right now, it's not entirely clear what this means. It's not clear if you're removing the trait in its entirety or just removing the negative aspect of that trait. Instead of special, Starfield's going to have PST for physical, social, combat, science, and tech categories for your skills. In Starfield, you can unlock skills after leveling up, and each skill will have multiple ranks to it, or at least most of them will. You can also complete the challenge associated with a skill to unlock a further level up without using a skill point, or at least that's how the skill system is assumed to work right now. We didn't exactly get a full explanation on it, but this really nice balance of being able to actually unlock skills manually with level ups, but also increase those skills naturally by playing and actually using the ability. And lastly, Starfield will have research associated with crafting. Research projects will cost resources and unlock things like chems, outpost items, weapon upgrades, and more. So yes, on one hand, weapon customization and attachments is returning for this game. It almost seems like this new research mechanic is going to replace some of the typical perks that you would be required to get to craft things. Now, instead of having to have a certain perk, you just need to have the research. But there are also research options for things like food and drink, which makes me wonder if some survival mechanics found their way into Starfield, or if these will just be items used to buff up your character, as well as enemies in
the
Starfield
Atomic Heart video
like
ready for upload to YouTube.
A few levels above their regular counterparts.
Yeah, I've seen it. Man, that ship looks really, really nice.
Spaceships and space flight. As in Starfield, you're able to build or buy your own spaceship and fly it around. Although, you will not be able to land ships directly on the planet. It seems like there's going to be this cutscene as you transition from the planet back into space, so it'll kind of deposit you back onto the planet or deposit you back into space. So if you're hoping for that seamless No Man's Sky transition, that's not really going to be a thing here. But what is a thing is some very in-depth shipbuilding. With this system, you're going to have different levels to parts,
nice.
and you can modify almost every aspect of your ship, even some of the interior aspects of some of the parts. It has been described that you can either build this up yourself using resources or just buy more parts for money, although spaceships are also described as being very expensive in Starfield. There are options for what types of weapon systems you want to add, how much cargo your ship can hold, your crew capacity, because yes, you can get a crew on your spaceship, although not much is known about what they'll actually do, and even how far your ship is able to jump. Some of the different ship upgrades and parts are going to require certain skills to unlock, and I wouldn't be shocked if research is attached to this somewhat also, but also things like engine health or repair rate and even errors for incompatible configurations can be seen. It seems like shipbuilding in Starfield is going to be a very in-depth system with a lot of different components to consider. Although don't worry, as we also have seen a bunch of prefab or pre-built ships, so it looks like you could just buy those if you don't want to really dive into customizing it fully. But it seems like spaceships
we would like to dive in and customize them fully.
And cons to them. Like, do you want to have a bunch of cargo space or be really fast or be really fast?
I've been looking for a space game to really get into as well, so I hope this fits the bill.
And I imagine getting better fuel capacity to jump further will be how some of the content is saved for late game. Perhaps to actually get to the full extent of that 50 light years, you're going to need some high-end parts which will require quite a bit of investment from you. But once in space, you can freely fly around and even get into dogfights. Spaceships will have power limits, and you can actually allocate power points into different ship subsystems. So you can do things like boost your shields or even boost your engine power. As well as you will have a variety of weapons like lasers or even missiles that can be fired as you're fighting enemy ships. And ship-to-ship combat will be a bit slower in Starfield. The combat pacing was described as being similar to MechWarrior. As well as there will be things to do with other spaceships beyond just fighting. You're able to disable ships, dock on them and board, and even some quests will require you to dock and board on other ships. But also there's going to be things like stealing other people's spaceships, smuggling stuff on a spaceship, or even visiting star stations. Star Station LO868 was featured in both the initial teaser trailer for the game, but also the most recent trailer we got just a couple of months ago. And in that recent trailer, we even got a preview of what the docking sequence will look like. Another pretty cool immersive aspect of all of this is spaceships will even be taking off around you. We saw one spaceship landing, which seemed like a scripted event during this early on quest, but it's been further confirmed in interviews that as you're just walking around a city, you may notice spaceships taking off from the spaceports as you're exploring. Todd Howard has said that a core aspect of Starfield is seeing what is out there, and you're going to be able to do this both in first and third person, and one dev described Starfield as a Han Solo simulator, suggesting that we'll be darting around the universe on our own adventure. We can be who we want and go where we want in this game. Exploration is going to be a big part of this overall experience. Via some of the concept art and especially in some of the gameplay, we've seen a ton of different biomes depicted, and we of course know that Starfield's going to feature 1,000 different planets to explore, although we also know that much of this is going to be made up by procedural generation, but not all of it. There's definitely been a lot of concerns in the community around procedural generation, but Todd Howard has made it clear that although Starfield does use a lot of procedural generation, it also features more handcrafted content than any other Bethesda game out there, and they intend to make it clear what is handcrafted and what is procedurally generated, although he's also clarified that lots of the areas outside of cities are going to be made up by procedural generation. But they've also made advancements with this technology, mentioning how they can take whole locations they built and place them on planets. And there are some upgrades to the random encounter system being implemented for this game. So I would be shocked if we see a system where random encounters get a huge upgrade now with Starfield. So perhaps as you're just wandering around on some random planet you found, you may stumble upon something big, maybe a little mini star base that's created and placed there via the random encounter system with some enemies or maybe a mini quest that you can do. And Todd Howard has described further that even just as you wander random planets, there's going to be content and gameplay happening. Although these planets look quite barren, it seems like Bethesda knows that people don't want them to just be barren, and they're going to address that at least somewhat. But even beyond just random encounters and making planets pretty, it seems like there's going to be several aspects that actually gamify exploration and base building in Starfield. You're going to have a built-in scanner, and when activating this, your HUD changes completely. You're going to get a bunch of new details around your planet, like its temperature, oxygen level, and gravity level. But you'll also have the ability to scan various things on that planet to fill up a database. So if you're a completionist, I think this scanning segment is probably going to be a big part here. You land on a new planet and have to scan all of the new creatures on it or all of the new plants that pop up on it. And these planetary details are also shown with distinct planet traits in the galaxy view. And systems will even have levels associated with them that will indicate planet threat levels. So Todd Howard has described how Starfield will feature about about 100 systems across the game, and we've even heard mentions of threat levels going as high as 40. So it seems like using this galaxy view map, at a glance you can click on a system and see what the level of it is, and that'll give you a pretty good idea if you're appropriate level to actually go there, or how difficult this area will be. There's also a feature to actually preview planets before you land there, as well as gravity is going to be a real gameplay element. You can see here on Crete it's 0.55 gravity, and we're going to be much lighter as we actually do this jump. But as a part of this all, there's also going to be the resource gathering mechanic. As you activate your scanner, this will also give you easy access to the cutter weapon for mining, or even the photo mode, because yes, Starfield has photo mode, which is awesome. And one of the other major features is from the scanner, you're also able to place your outpost, where it seems like you're able to place down an outpost beacon and almost immediately start building there. Tons of new info was added onto your HUD, like beacon integrity, power, production from this outpost, and even details on crew and cargo here. There's also an option to toggle your view to be top down for easier outpost building, with tons of parts available for customization. It seems like outposts will serve two major functions: survival, as mentioned by Todd Howard, but also resource gathering and collection. Based off just some of the planet traits we talked about earlier, it almost seems like different planets will perhaps be better or worse for different types of resources. So perhaps there's going to be certain traits that maybe make a planet more dangerous, but as a result of that, you'll find that they have some rarer or more valuable resources that you're going to want. And then those resources will be used for things like research, building better ships, and even building better outposts. But there's also going to be an environmental threat component here. You're going to have to use different spacesuits to protect yourself against environmental threats on planets. Todd Howard has described toxins on planets actually having a
16
pretty large
minutes left for that
influence.
video.
In this armor menu, we can see it's already reflected. Armors are now going to have 7 defensive stats in total. 3 of these are just going to be your familiar damage resistances like we had in other games, but also resistances specific for environmental threats. Namely, you can see thermal resistance, airborne radiation, and corrosive resistance. But the story, of course, is also going to be a huge part of Starfield. It's been described how Starfield's main story is a guided path to some of the other features like shipbuilding and outposts. So the main story will introduce you into those features, but not force you onto them. And you can focus on the story instead of just diving into something like shipbuilding if you want to. It has been described how Starfield doesn't drag you by the nose and say you must do X, Y, or Z. So it seems like those shipbuilding and outpost building features are going to largely be optional here. But also how some players will just settle on a certain planet due to the view, not really having to deal with the resource generation aspect at all. But the story here is also just going to be massive. We know that the main quest in Starfield will be about 20% longer than past games, for about a 30 to 40 hour main story alone. As well as the game features a silent protagonist with 250,000 lines of dialogue. If there's one thing that should get you hyped for Starfield, it's this. This 250,000 lines of dialogue number is simply insane. To put that into context, that's more dialogue than Fallout 4 and Skyrim combined. And really a lot
Okay,
more
so
than
that's
that.
a lot
It's
of
not like we're
dialogue.
talking about a game that has twice as much dialogue as the past one. Starfield's
Well,
going to have about 4
Fallout
times as
4
much
maybe not,
dialogue as
you know, but
Skyrim.
Skyrim
And
had a lot.
Sir, the composer on Starfield, has described the game as twice as big as the biggest games Bethesda has ever done. So to me, Starfield almost seems like it's going to be 2 games together. That familiar Bethesda Game Studios RPG experience with the story, dialogue, and now traits and role-playing options. But at the same time, for the people that are interested, you're going to have the base and shipbuilding mechanics if you want to go that route and really devote yourself to exploration and building. Although on the topic of the main quest, all we really know about the main quest as of right now is that it's going to give you a tour of the settled systems, the main playable area in Starfield. We're going to be trying to solve this big mystery and working with Constellation, but outside of that, we really don't know anything. Starfield is going to feature companions and even romance with those companions. The only companion we actually know about right now is this robot named Vasco, named after Vasco da Gama, but there's going to be other companions as well. We don't have a total number, but what we do know is that of the overall pool of companions, 4 of them are going to have more complex relationships. And at least one aspect of those relationships are seemingly romance scenes, as it seems like Starfield's going to have those familiar cut-to-black romance scenes like how they worked in Fallout 4, but even further, companions are going to have a bit more complexity in Starfield. It was described how you can achieve a certain status with that companion, like if you're romancing them and you both love each other, but if you do something they really don't like, the companions can temporarily get angry with you, and seemingly stop interacting with you, or at least have some kind of block in your interactions with them to some degree. And like past games, companions will have their own set of opinions over what decisions you make during the main Constellation questline. But they're taking a step further now, as you're also going to be able to have your companions speak for you. So let's say you hit a roadblock or a guard that doesn't want to let you in, you can actually have your companion go up and talk to them, handle the situation.
Oh, that's
for you,
cool.
Although there may be consequences from that decision, whether that's
Go talk
good
to him
or
for me.
bad. Todd Howard has confirmed that Starfield is planning to have mod
What do you mean,
support,
why?
although
'Cause you
he
have
also
better-
said this for Fallout
you
76,
can
and that he
talk
never
to
got
people
mod
better.
support. But I think it's a
You
bit
know,
more likely to be
I
happening
shoot
with
first,
Starfield.
ask
And even in
questions
more
later.
recent
You're
interviews, Todd
the
Howard has
opposite.
described how modding
Go,
Starfield
go.
is going to be a dream for modders. With all these features in mind, you can start to see how Starfield is going to be a pretty massive game. Todd Howard described Starfield as hundreds of hours of gameplay big,
Good.
as well as it's going to sound good too, because the soundtrack for this game is being made by Aaaand. Climbable ladders will be a feature of Starfield, and we can see this in action in the trailer from afar. Ladders in a Bethesda game is huge, but they're also not real. As Todd Howard has described how they use these sparingly, and it's really just an animation. You click E on the ladder and start climbing. But another really nice feature is visible holstered weapons are returning. So now you're able to see your own equipped weapons on your back as they're holstered, but this
Oh,
will
that's
also
cool.
apply to enemies, so you can see what weapons they're carrying.
Mhm.
As well via the gameplay, for like one frame, we can see that pickpocketing will be a feature in Starfield, and there's going to be this lock-picking puzzle. So you have to fill these various rings with the different pieces, although there's some options for forcing this or bypassing it if you want to. And although we have only seen Vasco, it has been confirmed that
Okay, I
Starfield is
get
going
it.
to feature a variety of robots, although Todd Howard has actually made it pretty clear that these are going to largely be utilitarian. The robots will serve a utility. They'll probably be helping us lift stuff, and not necessarily be hugely advanced high-tech AI. One of the other big talking points around Starfield is this massive engine overhaul. It's going to be the biggest engine upgrade Bethesda Game Studios has ever done between games, beating out the jump between Morrowind and Oblivion. And it seems like the timing really enabled this. Todd Howard has described how the timing of hardware releases allowed them to set their bar really, really high here. Some of the upgrades are fairly obvious. You have things like ship flying, functional vehicles are now in Creation Engine, which is huge, and some previous leaks have even suggested that flying vehicles are one of the first things they started working on with Starfield. But beyond that, we've heard about upgrades to tons of systems. The animation system was overhauled.
That looked
the
really
procedural
good.
generation systems improved, and even photogrammetry, the scanning of real-world objects to put them in game. All of that's coming along with a ton more, like rendering and the guts of the engine itself being described as getting a huge upgrade. And we do know more concretely that Starfield's engine work had more people working on it by a factor of 5 times as many engine developers compared to previously. But we also know this is going to be one aspect of development that ended up taking longer than Todd Howard had hoped. It seems like they definitely had at least one hiccup during this process, and upgrading the engine took them quite a bit longer, and perhaps is one of the reasons this game is taking so long. Although beyond this, what ways the engine will actually feel overhauled isn't entirely clear. Many fans have assumed AI upgrades, and even from some past LinkedIn posts, we can see that things like ray tracing will be a feature of Starfield, but the full scale of what exactly this overhaul entails isn't really known yet. Although Todd Howard has given some high-level commentary on this, describing how Starfield will feel next-gen in terms of both gameplay and systems, with lots of new systems they've been thinking about doing for a while now. In a more recent interview, Todd Howard has described how world simulations would be taken a bit further with Starfield. Those NPCs doing their own things without our intervention will be more advanced here. And in my opinion, I think one of the things we could see is greater world reactivity. NPCs reacting more to what we say or do than ever before, and really just having more of their own identities that interact with ours. In some past videos, Bethesda has described concepting things like what NPCs eat, what toys kids play with, and even what bedtime stories are being told. Definitely seems like this game might have a bit more depth to those NPCs and their interactions with us.
Bueno.
Although one other aspect to get pretty excited for with all of this are potential mod capabilities. With this transition to Creation Engine 2, it seems very likely we'll see an update to the Creation Kit as well, which is the tool that modders will use to actually make mods. Although, there are also a variety of speculative features or even leaks around Starfield that aren't necessarily concrete facts, but I definitely want to highlight and talk about with this video, especially if some of these end up being
Okay,
right.
so
and say,
that's-
hey, told you so. One of the first things that I think is worth highlighting is Starfield has had several real leaks at this point, the most notable being around all of these leaked images. Basically, all of these leaked images popped up on Google one day in error. An employee was applying for a job and used these images as examples of past work. One fan simply Googled Starfield and literally a bunch of images of
shit.
Starfield popped up on Google Images. That's how all of these leaked. There was no malicious aspect to this and nobody was deliberately leaking anything.
Mm.
Although one of the other things I could definitely see happening with
That's cool.
Starfield is multiplayer. Although it has been consistently reiterated that Starfield is going to be a single-player focused game, we also saw multiplayer get added to this engine with Fallout 76. And we heard in November 2021 that social elements haven't been ruled out, so though the game is
Just letting you know
described
that's not
as
my
a single-player
screen.
focus,
I
wouldn't have
am
any concerns
definitely in
about being
HD.
always online or anything like that. I know at least for me, whether it be a multiplayer feature or even a multiplayer DLC, like being able to have a co-op with just a couple of friends would be really cool. I would definitely welcome that. It's one of those things that is definitely not confirmed, and I would say it's not even necessarily likely, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if they had this. After all, let's not forget, the whole reason we got Fallout 76 is Todd Howard had an idea of adding multiplayer to Fallout 4. In my opinion, I think Starfield may have a paid mod-like system as well. We've heard quotes about how the game is designed to be played for a long time, as well as in-game purchases are confirmed via the ESRB rating for Starfield. Looking into this, I found in-game purchases could refer either to those familiar microtransactions like what you have in Fallout 76, but also simpler things, like being able just to buy the deluxe edition upgrade in-game or even purchase a pre-order bonus once you already own the game. So paid mods are definitely not confirmed, but I think it's plausible and I think it actually makes a lot of sense for Bethesda. We've had a ton of rumors of paid mods returning to Skyrim as of late, and it wouldn't be crazy to suggest that it's coming to Skyrim as a first test for this later to be added to Starfield and get a more proper rollout with Starfield. Although to be clear, as of right now, paid mods for both Skyrim and Starfield are just rumors and definitely not confirmed. And one final perception I've had with Starfield is, for me, it really feels like this is going to be the kicking off point for a new phase with Bethesda Game Studios. Since development of Starfield
That was a
begun,
little
they've
weird
grown
with
from
the
1 to 4 studios while also
slowdown,
quintupling in size from 100
switching
to now
weapons or
500
reloading or something,
developers.
whatever that
They were
was.
also bought out by Microsoft. They underwent their biggest engine upgrade ever to Creation Engine 2, and just the fact that Starfield
Yeah, I get
is the first
the lock
IP
system
in
now,
over
or the puzzle lock
25
system
years
now.
with a super long dev time. To me, it definitely feels like Starfield will be the first release of this new type of Bethesda Game Studios that we just haven't properly seen yet. Starfield will really be their debut. Although with that in mind, I think that's just about everything you need to know about Starfield right now. But of course, as of right now, you're really just stuck waiting for this game. So in the meantime, check out this video where I talk about some of the crazy AI overhauls that are coming to Fallout 4 and Skyrim.
Thank you very
and
much,
also how this
Juiced.
may very quickly be
I
coming
enjoyed
to an
that.
end.
So, okay, that was that. Actually, let's see if there is anything on the home front that I want to watch before I Dark Crystal is available on YouTube Premium for free for anybody that wants to check that out. Maybe. SCP-5005 is really cool. Ooh, that one's really long though. It's like an hour long almost. Robute Gilliman. Man, that one's almost an hour long. Oh yeah, it's Bat May, so make sure you guys go check that one out too. That's cool stuff. Stargate's also free on YouTube Premium. Sword of the Valiant, Legend of... Okay. I'm actually... Yeah, and I listen to a lot of stuff for sleep aids and shit like that. Green Knight is available for free. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm also gonna have to check out the new Dungeons and Dragons movie because people said that was good, and that I don't like Wizards of the Coast, but a good movie is a good movie. Yeah, the Hinterkaifeck murders, that was some weird fucking shit right there. Definitely something funky going on with that one. Not necessarily supernatural, but damn near close to it. I'm just seeing if there's anything interesting to watch before I jump into what I'm sure is going to be a long ass fucking prologue to Death Stranding. But it may just be that that's what's going to be happening next. Oh yeah, if y'all want to, that's actually not that bad. It's like 20 minutes. I don't have the attention span for that shit tonight. And actually, I want to do some stuff on the SCPs. There's one that has to do with 40K that I want to read, and I think that'll be pretty cool. One, because it's a pretty touching story, and two, it's a perfect example of one of the more bonkers yet less world-ending SCPs available. I mean, it totally, like in the right circumstances, could be world-ending, but it's more benign than most of the SCPs in containment. Remember when we used to have all kinds of Game of Thrones content? Man, I miss those days. Apparently, Skyrim's getting a new mod. Like, man, that game just won't die. I mean, it is a good game, but damn. "30 Days of Night," that was a good vampire movie. Doesn't look like there's anything. Well, let me give it a refresh. Yeah, people are going to do their analyzation of these things. They're smarter people and more coherent storytellers than me. I'm a consumer. It's not to say that oh man, that's nice. It's not to say that I won't do stuff like that. It's just, there's already a lot of stuff about Vita Carnis and the Monument Mythos and all those. Good song. Maybe we'll look at the Hinterkaifeck murders tomorrow. I'll put that one in the... Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go smoke a cigarette, get some fresh air. And then before I end my broadcast day, we will crack open Death Stranding. I want to see how this game looks and feels on my computer anyway. And people say it's good, so I'm going to check it out. Oh, here come the yawns. Oh, shit. Need to get a more comfortable chair. Thank you for warming my my gnome cap for me. Sorry. Excuse me. Alright, so we get some water. Yeah. I don't think I can sit here and watch something else. So, what we're gonna do no, I don't like Outlook, so we'll go with this. Yeah, okay, so we'll just leave it with that. I was just testing out, seeing what a button did. Oh, shit. Jump into a new game, but I want to play something. And the thing about Atomic Heart is even though I got, I guess, the false ending, the run up till the end is probably going to be somewhat near the same, unless something drastically different is the case, which might be because of a certain decision I'm going to have to make here soon. But that's going to end quickly, and we're still about a week and some change off from the first opportunity we will have to play Diablo 4. So, in the interest of content and my sanity, we're jumping into Death Stranding. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. But the show must go on. possible that is the case. Chickle buckets. And yeah, it feels like I may have left my pen in the car. Or worse, at my mom's house. Viable one. Cool. It is a little bit upsetting that I left it. No. It's alright, I'll get it later. So, for Death Stranding, 40 hours for the main story, 59 hours for the main story plus extras, 112 hours if you want to go for completionist, 57 hours for all styles. So 57 hours seems to be the average. And I'll probably do somewhere near there. Yeah, this is much more pliable than the last one. Nice low-key music. I hope everybody's doing okay tonight. I hope you've had a good weekend. I know it's odd because mine's just starting. Like this was my primary sleep day, although, well, yeah, no, I got enough sleep for the most part. It's been a long day, and it's already 3:20 in the morning. So, yeah, let's get cracking. Let me get this dab down, and then we're gonna do the opening for Death Stranding. Yeah. And that's going to be the start of a new playlist and a new series. Well, at least a new set of Gnome shows. And I was considering something like this or restarting Cyberpunk, but with Diablo dropping in June, and then rumors that Phantom Liberty may shadow drop, in fact, in sometime in early to mid-June to July, depending on how they feel, but they definitely said sometime this year, so who knows, but we'll see. Either way, June is going to be pretty busy for me overall, but as far as gaming, it's going to be extremely busy for all of us. Yeah, it's going to be a busy ass fucking season. Pardon me. Fuck. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right. You all ready? Let's do this. Welcome to American Gnome Productions first dive into Death Stranding. I've been ducking this game for a little while. I guess that's okay. Yeah. Yeah, especially if they can be changed. Long ass loading screen. So it's the Death Stranding. For the love of God. Yeah, there we go. I can see, but the left cannot enter. And here they Doom's ability vary according to the subject's date of birth in order to establish your own ability levels. These are your birth date. 10. I don't know. I don't know what Cetus, Delphinus, and Gigas are. Hell yeah. Kojima. Uru, along with the stick, are two of mankind's oldest tools. The stick to keep the bad away, the rope used to bring the good towards us. They were our first friends and didn't
Once
give me
there was an explosion,
Okay.
a bang which gave birth to time and space. Once there was an explosion, a bang which set a planet spinning in that space. Once there was an explosion, a bang which gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion. Rain, heavy blows, dirty hands, sweaty clothes, every tear that I've had to understand and know, play my tricks, fragile mind, risk your head on me.
I'll let you out in a little bit.
I'm not here. There must be some mistake. Don't be so serious. Don't be so serious. Don't be so serious. Don't be so serious.
Lindsay Wagner, hell yeah. Pretty nice bike. I have a feeling I'm about to lose it, huh? Oh, shit. No, 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 no.
Oh, great. Fuck.
Yeah, and I also just hit somebody, didn't I? Easy, buddy. Alright, so we can't go that way. So that's not really...
We wait out the rain over there.
Yes. As if we don't recognize Norman Reedus. Alright. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do, is we're going to take care of the prologue. Or at least jump into it.
I think they're gone. What the hell? Didn't mean to grab you so hard. Tears. A chiral allergy. So, you have dooms, like me.
I've got the extinction factor. I think you got me beat.
What's your level? You can see them, right?
No, but I can sense them.
Level 2, then.
What are you doing here?
Trying to stay dry. Same as you. Time falls let up. My name is Fragile.
Yeah, I've heard of you.
That right? Sam Porter Bridges. The man who delivers. You want it? A crypto buy a day keeps the time fall away. Want to come work for me? Must be tough out here on your own.
Yeah, I thought Fragile Express had plenty of people.
Plenty of traitors. Not much left of us now, save for a few honest folks. And on top of that, not much left of me either. Got soaked from neck to toe.
I can't help you with that. I make deliveries, that's all.
This is Bridges Central Dispatch. Freelance contractor Sam Porter Bridges. Receiver is standing by for drop.
Headed into town. Watch yourself. Those things never stay gone for long. The time full fast forwards whatever it touches, but it can't wash everything away. The past just won't let go. I'll see you around. Sam Porter Bridges.
Okay, so what the hell?
Don't be so serious. Don't be so serious. Don't be so serious.
Yeah, I know. I know, dude. But we're probably gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to cross closer up here.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
That was cool.
Over and over.
Beginning scan. Cargo verified. Thank you.
There's one more I could have gone back for, but
took you so long? It's not like the legend to come in late.
Had to wait out the storm. Lost my bike.
Sounds like you've been through the ringer. Luckily, our goods are in perfect condition. Well, you did keep us waiting, but everything else seems to be in perfect order, so great work. We'll be awaiting the next delivery.
Huh.
Igor, Bridges Corpse Disposal. Sam Porter, I presume? Right. Not the touchy-feely type. Document said you had some kind of phobia.
Bridges Corpse Disposal? What happened?
Look, gotta get a move on. I'll explain as we go. Come on. Come and take a look. He's got a date with the incinerator.
How long since he flatlined?
You don't know the exact TOD, but I'd say it's been upwards of 40 hours.
He wasn't quarantined.
Not sick. This is a suicide.
Jesus.
We're just lucky we found him at all. Got him on ice ASAP, but who knows when he'll go necro.
Where you taking him?
Closest incinerators to the north.
This route's crawling with PTs. Sure you can't use another?
I wish I could, but there's no time.
Then just burn the poor bastard right here.
We put all that chiralium in the air so close to town? Can't do it.
Better that than trying for the incinerator.
Hey, we can do this. We just need someone like you with dooms.
Well, he's already in the first stages of necrosis. If we don't hurry, this place is a crater.
So how about it? Can we count on you? Then Bridges hereby enters into a contract with Sam Porter.
Sam. Just Sam. And I can't spot BTs. Just sense them.
That's why we came prepared.
A bridge baby, huh?
With its helping you, we'll be able to stay one step ahead of them. Makes me feel like shit every time.
Well, you are plugging into the other side. Freaks me out too.
Roll out.
Storm's coming.
The world was different when I was a kid. America was a country. Anybody could go anywhere they damn well pleased. No need for couriers like yourself. We had highways, airplanes. Hell, you could even visit other countries. Hard to imagine it now. Then you can see the Death Stranding poked us full of holes. Fucked us beyond all recognition. And if you were lucky enough to survive, the timefall came and washed you away. Then those freaks from the beach showed up. The worlds of the living and the dead all mixed together. And that's when folks started holing up in the cities.
Guys.
Couriers like yourself got put up on a pedestal.
Guys.
Son of a bitch. Rainbow!
How much further to the incinerator? This guy's about to pop.
Shit. We'll have to cut to the BTs.
Yeah.
Got us right where they want us. Get us out of here.
Sam, can you see anything?
No. Keeps telling you that. No.
No, nothing.
This BB must be busted or something.
I don't think so. This motherfucker's about to go. Here we go. Here we go. It's time to go, Sam. Damn, it's time to go. go. Why didn't you shoot him? There we go. Oh. Okay, so craziness. Naked Norman and the baby. Disturbing images. And a weird handcuff. So there's 5 of them motherfuckers in the air, and like Well, at least you can wash yourself. At least you can wash yourself now. There you go. Oh, those dead bodies. Hello. Oh, lovely.
Once there was an explosion. A bang which gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion.
Damn.
An explosion that will be our last.
The red bar is the blood gauge. Yeah, the blue bar is, yeah. Okay, so this is just, okay. Okay, so that's what that was. I'm cutting it at my earliest opportunity because I'm tired as fuck and I want to go to bed. Cool. This is where I can... Episode 1. Bridget.
Oh, you're awake. So, how does it feel to be back in the world of the living? Don't worry. I'm a doctor. Well, a coroner, originally. Call me Dead Man. I'm well acquainted with the dead. Not like you, of course. Contrary to the name, I've never actually died. I would advise against that. I'm no expert, but I can assure you it's for your own protection. See?
So I'm a prisoner.
These aren't handcuffs. They're cutting-edge devices that keep us all connected.
Us? Oh, us.
Yup. Bridges. Humanity's best hope for the future. Or avoiding extinction, if you prefer.
Right. Where am I? What time is it?
Watch me. Try pressing it against your skin, like this. Relax. That just means your body's got a good connection to the cufflink. Look, look. The cuffs will watch over you 24 hours a day. That is to say, we will. We're here to help.
What the hell? 2 days?
During that time, we took the liberty of collecting fluid samples from you.
Thanks.
You're a repatriate. That makes you very special.
What happened to the CD guys?
Central Knot was obliterated in the annihilation. Game over, man. Place is a crater. The only ones to get to continue were you, for obvious reasons, and your broken bridge baby.
Is it all right?
It's been marked for disposal. Didn't work anymore. Why keep it? We lost everyone. Not just corpse disposal. My team, HQ, all of Redford, every soul in Central Knot City. We're at our base, in Capital Knot City now. Or should I say, our new headquarters. Sudbury seemed the logical choice. But our implementation team has been decimated. And there's only so much they can do in 2 days. Things here are a mess. Fortunately, the director and his support team were out of town at the time, so the chain of command remains intact. I hate to do this so soon, but I have a job for you. This stencil is from when you repatriated? What's the other mark from?
A clinging woman in a cave.
I see. Aphenphosmphobia. No wonder you were out there alone, where no one could touch you. I'll try to be more careful, Sam. So, the job is an urgent delivery. I need you to bring the president some morphine.
What president? America's gone. You talking about the mayor of Central Knot?
No, not the mayor. America lives on, Sam. The president is in the final stages of cancer, in critical condition, but there's still time.
Why me?
Look, Sam. Do as I ask, and I promise it will all make sense.
Why don't you do it?
Because I'm not really here. Apologies. This is just a chirogram. And here, come the tears. Allergic reaction to the chiral transmission. I'm actually over in the isolation ward in the big triangle building. Here is the morphine. Bridges hereby enters into a contract with Sam Porter.
Come on. You got morphine there. What's this about? Tell me the truth.
The truth, Sam, is that America's last president wants to see you in person. Are you really about to say no? I'll see you in the isolation ward.
Beginning scan. Scanning Bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Delivery order for Sam Porter Bridges. Request transport of morphine to isolation ward for immediate administration to the president.
Access to delivery terminal denied.
What did they say? Oh, gee.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
One foot.
Check the map on your cufflinks if you're lost, Sam. The isolation word should be pretty obvious. If you're not sure how to get there, you can set markers and draw routes too. Try it out and you'll see what I mean. Sam, if you want to confirm you're headed the right way, check your compass. It'll never steer you wrong. Provided you have a destination, that is. Central wasn't just home to Bridges HQ. It was also the seat of the Reconstructionist movement. If the president hadn't required special treatment, she would have been dead. And if she hadn't, we wouldn't have either.
It always gets clogged.
The vital signs are all trending the same way.
No chance of a recovery then?
None that I can see. No.
We should start making preparations.
Sam. It's me, Dead Man. Sorry, my mistake. I'm afraid the president's condition has deteriorated. Thank you. This will help to ease the pain. And allow her to speak with you in these final moments.
Huh?
The first and last female president of the United States. Surely you remember her. She raised you. You're not exactly dressed for a reunion. Take that off before you come inside. That's the president's right-hand man, the director of bridges.
Die Hardman?
Oh, you were with Bridges 1? So, I guess no introductions are necessary.
What's it been, Sam? 10 years? Look at us. A bunch of deathless freaks meeting like this. Yeah, well, good to see you two. President's waiting. It's your mother, Bridget. She's a bit out of it, but I know she'll recognize you.
Madam President, we've brought Sam. We'll leave you two alone.
come back. Are you doing all right?
Come on, Sam. Take her hand.
Yeah, I know you hate me. Amelie.
Amelie.
You remember Amelie went west. Took her 3 years to cross. She's trying to rebuild the country.
Still going on about that, huh?
You're the one I wanted to send, Sam. Time's running out. Help Amelie. She needs you. Together, you can help us reconnect. You can make America whole. Sam, if we don't all come together again, humanity will not survive.
We don't need a country. Not anymore.
We do. Alone, we have no future.
No, America's finished. Bridget, you're the president of jack shit.
Sam, listen to me.
Good God, Sam, this is your mother.
So you are willing to help me?
No, I...
I love you, Sam. I'll be waiting for you on the beach.
Madam President! Oh, no.
Doctor, we need your help.
All hands on deck here. She's been being good. Give me 150 cc's. She's not responding.
Stay with me.
She's dropping.
Hold on.
We're losing her.
She's gone.
I'm a death.
Listen, no one can know that the president is dead. If word gets out, Bridges is finished. Now, what happened here does not leave this room. Do you understand?
Yes, Director. But there's still the matter of the body. Without corpse disposal.
We've got that covered. Sam, Before she died, the president made a contract with you.
What are you talking about?
As a member of Bridges, you're gonna work with the rest of us to rebuild America.
You think you can recruit me? Like she tried to?
Well, she succeeded. Look at your wrist. If that's not symbolic, I don't know what is.
Director, the cancer spread throughout her entire body. Harvesting organs is out of the question, and there is no need for an autopsy. Her body needs to be cremated before she necrotizes.
And if we don't, this place will turn into another crater.
What do you want me to do?
We don't have any porters right now. And the CD team you went into the field with are dead. But the president's body has to be burned.
The road from Capital Knot City to the incinerator was compromised in the void out. Now, the only way there is on foot, through the mountains. But the chiral density there is off the chart. It's gotta be BT's.
This job has requirements. Tombs. Repatriate.
So me. Why?
Sam, you're already on the clock.
Now get it done, Sam Porter Bridges.
Very much like to fucking get a chance to.
Can I have a moment?
Save my game and.
President Strand believed in American Reconstructionism. She worked tirelessly to bring the nation together again. And without her, there would be no Bridges. She deserves a funeral with full honors. But we can't give her that. If she dies, America dies.
Without her, Bridges will cease to be.
Listen. Her cremation must be carried out with the utmost secrecy.
Even if we pull it off, what then? Who's gonna take her place? Face it, America's history.
Sam, America isn't dead yet.
You just said that it dies if Bridget dies.
She may be lost to us, but we still have an America worthy of the presidency.
Sorry, what?
Let's not get into it now. What matters is that we're going to finish your mother's work and rebuild America as she intended. That's the reason Bridges exists. So take the first step, Sam, and deliver the president's body to the incinerator.
If we don't all come together again, humanity will not survive. You're the one I wanted to send, Sam. Time's running out. I love you, Sam. I'll be waiting for you on the beach.
The facilities to the southwest. Remember that you'll be passing through BT territory.
We built the incinerator way up in the mountains so that the chiral matter in the smoke wouldn't reach the city. It won't be easy carrying a body up there.
We'll be monitoring you around the clock. If anything comes up, we'll offer you support via the cufflinks.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that was the opening chapter, the prologue in chapter 1 for Death Stranding. I like it so far. The next in the next round, or the next video, I guess, we will be doing a journey to burn the president's body. And yeah, so I'm gonna let this chill for a minute, and go smoke a cigarette, and then we'll close out the stream for the evening or the morning. It's 5 a.m. and I've been streaming for 5 hours and 17 minutes. Yeah, it's not bad. But I'll be right back. I'm gonna go stretch my legs real quick. Also, just an aside, I don't know how many of y'all have to deal with it with your parents, but with my mom, I've never ever encountered somebody that had so much trouble dealing with Facebook and Google just as applications. I mean, I understand some of the frustrations, but damn, she's had a full-on war with Facebook and Google, and it's just over dumb stuff. But it's alright. I helped her out today and took care of everything, so she should be okay. I'm gonna go recover my pen from the van, just in case Bobby takes off in the morning, which is likely to happen. So, I'll be right back. ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me for Death Stranding. This is the end of my broadcast day. I will see you tomorrow night for another episode. Have a great day. Be safe, be happy, be healthy. I love you guys. And I will see you next time.